Hello and welcome. I am reading and listening to all your requests, and all of you are saying, how do I know what job to go after? How do I know how to pursue the things in my heart? And how do I how do I learn how to make money?
I'm Bethany Williams, host of 3 Days to a Raise. What would it take you to raise the stakes?
Go for it.
To raise the bar.
Run after it.
And to elevate your life, your earnings, and your job to the next level.
You are not going to want to miss this. This is going to be amazing.
Today I have Doug Atteberry here.
Hello.
A millennial who has reached out to me via my website months ago, and we're going to go on our own personal journey of discovery today in hopes that you will learn from our combined experience. So thanks for coming.
Thank you so much for having me.
Doug actually went to school, the same school that my son went to years ago, and so it's great seeing you again all these years later.
It's great seeing you too.
So tell me, when you left high school, you had the path before you and had to decide what you were going to do. So tell me a little bit about where you started and the frustrations you encountered along the way.
Well, of course, the first actual challenge you have to have whenever you get out of high school, whenever you're wanting to start your life, start your career, is figuring out what you want to do. That was the big question that I did not have the answer to at all.
And I hear that all the time. My sons and their friends are like, come on, there's thousands of choices.
And that is, I mean, it's great that there are thousands of choices, but that is one of the problems, is that there are thousands of choices. Which one do I pick?
So what I loved is you just said you decided to try a bunch of different things.
Absolutely.
Give me some examples of some things that you tried.
I tried everything. I worked for a company that made gun cases. I worked in...
we are in Texas, so I'm not surprised.
Yeah, absolutely. I worked in graphic design. I worked in sales for a little bit. Currently right now I'm working in cooking and baking production, which I have found to, be my passion.
You like
absolutely.
it. Huh?
Love
and
it.
When was that moment, like when you said you did one thing that you absolutely didn't like? Oh, you said sales.
Sales, absolutely.
Yes. So tell me about that in-between phase where you're doing something and you didn't like it.
So while I was working for this gun company, Americase, one thing that drew me was that I was making gun cases, but what drew me more were the sales. I would watch the salesmen, see how they worked. I just loved, what they did, the engagement,
right.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started, trying to do what they did. I would, work with sales. I dressed how they dressed. I talked how they talked. I faked it till I made it. And one thing that definitely helped me was it helped me realize I didn't want to do sales.
Yeah, I think personal experience is the best way, and I tell both the children that, but to the two boys that haven't picked their careers yet, when you do something and you will immediately know if you love it or not.
Yes.
And then another important thing I think you said is dressing the part. And I feel like the millennials, some of them are missing that.
Yes.
Some of you are dressing like you're unimportant, you don't want to be there, and it is not the job you want to have. And you're sending that personal brand out into the market that says, this is all I'm ever going to be, and I'm not happy where I'm at.
If you want the job that you're looking for, when you go in the interview, you need to make sure that you need to look like you've been working there.
Mm-hmm. That like you already have the position that you want to have.
You're just waiting for them to tell you where your office is.
So I believe that there are desires in your heart and they will start to bubble out over time. And so a few months ago, Doug reached out to me and he said, Bethany, I think I want to do motivational videos. And I have for years done something called a 1 minute of inspiration that people download and watch. And Doug was reaching out to me to see what kind of ideas I had for him on these motivational videos. I think it's important when you decide you're being pulled towards something to decide how you'll pursue that and whether it will start as a hobby or whether you'll jump into it full time. So tell me about your journey to reviewing the videos and picking the name and all of that.
Well, one thing that we did talk about was, in order to do the videos and everything, there first needs to be a foundation. And that really, it was, making the videos, it was the same as, trying to figure out my career. I had a general idea, but I didn't know really how to get there. Building the foundation, that is the best advice, honestly, you probably given me.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
And so one thing that I've actually started doing before making the videos is that I've been writing little chapters, making my own book, just maxing out on life. Basically, whatever you do today, whether it's at work, whether it's at home with your kids, with your family, anything at all, with your hobbies, you're going to give it 100%. That's your maximum today. Make that your minimum tomorrow. You know what you can do today. Let's see what you can keep doing tomorrow. Whether it's a little bit or whether it's a lot, it's just continuous improvement.
So I love that you had this idea and you started exploring it. And then in exploring it, you decided that you probably should be writing a book. And so you started writing a book. And I think so many people have things that come to your mind, but you don't run after them. So I love that we came up with 3 tips of advice for you today if you are on this personal journey of discovery. And the very first one you said,
persistence,
is be persistent. And I will agree. I have 30 years of experience. I'm a personal branding expert, and I would say the people that get it done are persistent. And that leads us to the second tip you had.
Be self-motivated.
And that self-motivation will drive you forward when you feel like all of the world is falling around you. And it's difficult because you will run into failure.
Absolutely.
You will mess up. You will fall over the cliff. It will not turn out the way you want it to.
The most common word you're going to hear is no. It will be.
And my son called me the other day. He interviewed for a position and he didn't get it, and he was devastated. And I said, you may not get every position that you apply for, but persistence and self-motivation are going to keep you on the track.
Absolutely.
Until you get there. And the thing that caught me early in my career was that once I applied for something and didn't get it, the struggle was in my attitude. It was to keep a positive attitude even though I didn't get the position that I really wanted to get. And the third tip that we came up with, and I love this one, is failure is part of the process.
Absolutely. One thing that helps with having failure is that's what helps build your persistence. It's like working out your persistence. I know every time I wanted to get ahead and I felt like I was just sliding back, I kept telling myself, I'm not going through all this and I'm going to end up empty-handed. I'm going to reach. I'm reaching my goals. I mean, I'm crawling out of this. My knuckles may be bloody, but I'm going to rise to the top.
I think that sometimes, at least in my career, sometimes I felt like I was on a slippery slide. And when you go to those water parks, they have a water hose, and I felt like I was falling down and I could not climb back up. And you will face so many failures, and the difference between the people that succeed and the people that fail are the people that keep getting up. And if the sooner you can learn that, the younger you can learn that, the more successful you will be.
Absolutely.
So I want to add one thing to your list for all the millennials out there. And I talk about this in CEO of You, is I decided that just like people plan their retirements, and you figure out how much money you're going to put away, and I know that's a long time away from now, so you're not thinking about it. I think people should have mentors and a personal board of directors that helps them through their life. And those people are people that you've worked with, or your parents have worked with, or you've gone to a club with them, doesn't matter. And these people will give you advice as you hit those pivotal moments in your life and you need advice. So I have 5 people, I call them smart guys, because they just happen to be all men, that help me drive the decisions I make. And so the sooner you can start thinking of yourself as a company and can start thinking of yourself as needing to be managed through the tough decisions that you're going through, then the more successful you'll be.
Absolutely.
So the book you're writing, tell me what the name is.
It is maxing out on life.
Maxing out on life. I love it. If you want to ask Doug any questions, send me a message on my website. And thank you for joining us
Thank you so much for having me.
for the Millennial edition of the Journey of Personal Discovery. And have a fantastic week.